example of finding inverses algebraically. Once again, we're using f of x. And remember, f of x, this just means it's a function that has x in it. Remember, so this f of x is the same thing as having y in there. So we're basically just switching this y for an x and switching this x for a y first. Everything else stays exactly the same. So we still have the square root, we still have that we're dividing by 5, we still have the plus 4. So again, we need to figure out what do we want to work with first. Do we want to work with the square root first, the 5, or the 4? So we want to work with the 4 first because the 4 is adding to everything. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So it's going to be minus 4. So it's going to be x minus 4 is equal to the square root of y over 5. Now the next question is, do we want to work with the square root or the 5 next? We're actually going to work with the square root next because the square root is over the whole thing. Okay? 5 is not dividing everything because it's not outside the square root. It's still inside the square root. It's being affected by the square root. So we need to undo the square root somehow. We want to undo the square root by doing its opposite, which is squaring. So we square both sides. Alright, so I square both sides. It's going to look like x minus 4 squared is equal to y over 5. Let me move this here. It's important to remember that this square only undoes the square root. You don't want to actually make this y squared over 25. So again, this just cancels out the square root. It doesn't do anything else inside. Now, the last thing we're going to do is multiply by 5 on both sides because right now we're dividing, so we need to do the opposite, which is multiplying. So we're multiplying both sides by 5. And I'm going to put a times 5 over here. So this is just going to go y equals, I'm just switching the sides here. So it's going to be y equals 5 times x minus 4 squared. And if you really wanted to square this out, you can. I wouldn't count against you if you didn't. So this is perfectly fine. All we need to do now is just write in our inverse notation, which is f inverse of x is equal to 5, and then we write the parentheses, x minus 4, all squared. And there you have it.